Hello, thanks for joining us here at the Bill Mason Show. How you doing, Bill?
I'm doing well. Welcome to the Tuesday edition.
Yes, and we have an explosive show for you tonight. I mean, literally, explosive show.
Absolutely. Absolutely. A big, amazing explosion, actually, to talk about. And I think we have plenty of footage on this one.
Oh yeah, we had the explosion on all sides of this, and amazing video actually. So don't go away because you're gonna really like this video.
Yeah.
So what happened? I mean, you think it was an attack, or you thinking it was a fireworks show? Then the nitrate blew up. What's going on?
I honestly can't imagine someone who would light off fireworks inside of a silo on purpose where they stored ammonium nitrate. It just doesn't add up. To me, it looks like either some sort of sabotage, an attack of some sort. Honestly, there's even speculation that it's these black ops Israelis that have been quote unquote not responsible for the centrifuges in Iran and not responsible for this either. So I mean, I really don't know at this point. It's all speculation. I mean, the internet's just a rumor mill right now.
Right. We need to check see if there's any Iranian boats there, because
Yeah,
Israel could have done that.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So
All right. So let's go into the videos. I mean, it's we have some great videos, by the way. So we're
yeah.
going to just show the least one right now. It's going to show you how it's all started. It's
Mhm.
where fireworks were going off. This guy was right there. I don't know how you survived. Do you know how you survived?
I can't imagine he did. Like we talked pre-show, I think maybe he took the blast. Somebody picked up the phone and went upload,
Hmm.
and I don't know how you could be that close because the shockwave of it from a couple miles away was flipping cars over and
Yeah.
blowing windows out. So it's
Yeah.
pretty,
It blew windows out for 15 miles.
yeah, it's crazy.
Unbelievable. All right, let's take a look at this first video.
All right.
There we go. So you think that was impressive? You haven't seen nothing yet.
Yeah. And I mean that it's actually hard to figure out what's going on there when as we zoom out and you start to see and maybe even go to the map view of it, like where it actually was right on the waterfront,
Hmm.
to get the perspective of it's like a center of commerce for basically all of Beirut. It's where their stuff comes in and goes out of. So it's a big deal to destroy it if it was a tactical strike.
Yeah, that's right, definitely. So let's take it. We're going to show you one, two, three, four, five videos in a row.
All
They're
right.
going to be amazing, by the way. Of course, well, hearts go out to people who died, of course, but let's take a look at these videos.
All right.
Wow, all I can say is wow.
Yeah, like I can't imagine the lifestyle. I've always lived in the safety of America. Like until 9/11, I don't think any of us really knew what it was like to be going about your daily business and have something just of that magnitude or whatever happen. But sadly, like in Lebanon, this is probably one of the biggest, but definitely not the only time that something like this has happened broad daylight. Lebanon, and this has been like a hotbed of the, I guess they call it the Levant, that area. I mean, it's the people that in power now are trying to become like, civilized and anti-ISIS and get their commerce going, but there's always going to be that faction of, whether it's going to be, fundamental Islamism, which is always the fight as they progress and they get into a business mode and some people become successful. All of a sudden, they're accused of being westernized. They're accused of being not Islamic anymore. And then people get bent out of shape. And then you have these little cells that pop up. ISIL was another version of ISIS. It stood for like Islamic State in the Levant. And I think that was like one of their bases of operation over there for a long time. And I think some of this is a supposedly confiscated ammonium nitrate that they use to make roadside bombs. And it's been sitting there for years. So apparently, if somebody knew it was there, it was a bomb waiting to happen.
2,700 pounds of that. So enough to blow that thing up. So
Yeah, man.
with the fireworks. So, I mean, that is almost as bad as a nuclear bomb. It's not quite, but that is pretty powerful.
Yeah, and as we saw, ammonium nitrate, it reacts with hydrogen, with water. And the fact that it was on the water, that crazy steam circle cloud that came out of it, the concussion blast, I mean, you couldn't ask for a better situation to set that off. It probably wasn't the smartest decision to store it there. Apparently, some reports say it's been there since 2017, accumulating. So, I mean, it was only a matter of time before somebody found out or whatever, had access to it enough to pull that off. But it devastating, man. And it's not just about the people that got hurt. I think it was like I say, a tactical strike on the ability of Lebanon to initiate commerce. That was where they got their oil tanker deliveries. That whole like center, that region is where everything happened. I mean, there's no way for them to function without it.
Right. Well, I mean, there's no way to turn back the clock. I mean, Lebanon used to be the crown jewel. People used to go to vacation. And ever since then, the civil war they had, and now Hezbollah is mostly built up in the south. There's no way to turn it back to normal unless Hezbollah is gone and the fanaticals are gone.
Yep. And every time you think, like I said, the fanaticals are gone, there's always this fundamentalist version of, they have the ultimate idea of how like an Islamic State is supposed to be ran. And it's really hard because these guys get hooked on the successful trading and, getting involved in business and getting successful and being able to have schools that are safe. And it's like a weird thing. Like, you see it go on all over these little pockets of the world. And I hate to say it, but you wonder why some of these countries are still like they were 1,000 years ago or whatever in their mentality. And it's because they won't let themselves go past that point, because they're accused of being westernized, and then it's just back to zero. Here we go again. We're gonna blow each other up.
All right, we're going to show some aftermath videos here of what it looks like. It kind of looks like Portland a little bit, but
yeah, it's a close second to Portland, or maybe Minneapolis after the Floyd riots.
Exactly. So let's take a look.
شباب هيدا أنا تحت هون، ما في بناية فوق الثاني، ما في بناية فوق الثاني. الله يعين العالم. هيدا البور الله بيعرف كم قتيل فيه، الله بيعرف كم قتيل فيه. ليك
All right, so there you go. Looks like Portland there a little bit. Unbelievable. So we have another picture. It's just a picture. It's not a video of the aftermath.
I mean, look at that. It leveled. It tore all of that stuff to shreds. It's gone.
It's gone. Got a lot of rebuilding to do.
Yeah, and like I said, it's going to cripple them because that's where their goods were exchanged. That's where they got their deliveries, man. It's like you think about it, the sea is the safest way. That's why, civilizations are always close to a major body of water, because going over land with, goods that are even in trucks, you need a degree of safety for that. And in that region, in that Levant region, I don't care if it's medical supplies or whatever it is that they're supposed to get. It is not safe going over the road over there because of these roadside bombs and all of these other people that are just willing to do whatever to a truck on the way to somewhere. So, I mean, that was their only way of getting hospital supplies and medicine and everything else that the Lebanese people would need. And now it's destroyed.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. What the official report will be. They're investigating now. We have
sure.
Trump on the explosion. Let's take a look and see what he said.
All right.
Let me begin by sending America's deepest sympathies to the people of Lebanon, where reports indicate that many people were killed. Hundreds more were very badly wounded in a large explosion in Beirut. Our prayers go out to all the victims and their families. The United States stands ready to assist Lebanon. We have a very good relationship with the people of Lebanon, and we will be there to help. It looks like a terrible attack.
Are you confident that this was an attack and not an accident?
Well, it would seem like it based on the explosion. I've met with some of our great generals, and they just seemed to feel that it was. This was not some kind of a manufacturing explosion type of event. This was seems to be, according to them, they would know better than I would, but they seem to think it was a attack. It was a bomb of some kind, yes.
Interesting.
There he is. So they think it's attack. We don't know. Sounds plausible to me.
Yeah, like I said, the location for something like that to happen and to have the crippling effect that it's going to have, it has to be an attack, because, like I said, who accidentally lights off a fireworks display in a warehouse full of ammonium nitrate? It's just not something you do. Now, would there be, if that was the United States, would there be security and stuff like that in place? Of course. And I think some of that is probably where they're going to find the holes in the attack versus accident theory, is that it's right on the docks. It looked like an open warehouse attached to those silos. I mean, it wouldn't take somebody motivated that long to figure out a way to get in there and do that.
All right. Well, let's take a look at this explosion one more time. Corey, you're driving along on the highway. Say you're in Philly. You see this big explosion.
Yeah, you see a fire.
Fire going on. You're taking a video. You're just hokey dokey along.
Wow, look at the fire.
Yeah.
And then that's that.
And that happens.
Yeah.
And then your rearview mirror and your everything.
The whole side of your car's blown out.
Yeah.
It's gone.
I mean, I would think that a nuclear bomb went off.
Oh, I think a nuke melts everything. I think that's the bonus.
Yeah,
that was,
I would have still thought it. I mean,
it's an incredible explosion. In case there's ATF people watching us, I don't want to admit to my past as a youngin', but I've experimented with various things, and a lot of these things. I mean, these guys have perfected with very minimal supplies, and all you really need is these basic things.
Should we cut this part out, Bill?
I'm saying that this was not like something like a nuclear level bomb. This was just an opportunity. Like somebody said, wow, they have 2,000 tons of ammonium nitrate just sitting on the docks. I mean, it's something that I can't imagine why they would leave it there for that long. If that report is accurate, since 2017, So they went around and confiscated these, surpluses of ammonium nitrate because they know what people do with it. That in a small amount. I mean, a pickup truck full of that stuff is what did the Oklahoma City bombing. It blew the guts out of a building, out of the federal building, and that was, 10 to 12 bags of it. And I mean, this was a ridiculous amount.
Right. Yeah. Tim McVeigh was 2.5 tons. This was
Yeah.
2,700 tons. Big
Right.
difference.
Right. This was no joke. This was, probably, I would say, one of the most stores, because when I looked into it, like, we make it. Everybody makes it. We make it and use it for fertilizer.
Right.
They purposely don't make more than like 500, pounds before they put it somewhere where it's safe. Like, they don't just lump store 2,000, 3,000 tons of this stuff on purpose because it's so devastating. It's just, you just know what you're dealing with, I guess. And, some of these guys that, have it in for, like I said, from what I looked up, these Lebanese government, these guys that are in power now, they seem to be more like, for the betterment of Lebanon and trying to get rid of some of the terror cells. And that's frowned upon, apparently, because they've had a 30-40 year hold on that region,
Well, let's take a look at this ISIS video that you found about
the factories.
Yeah, just take a look at that, see what it says.
Okay.
Have chlorine here, dynamite, gunpowder, as we can see among the white. And what's interesting is that they have even a scale here. That means they have wanted to know how much explosives goes into each bomb. And then they have cut through this wall that divides these two different shops. They must have belonged to two different mechanics or two different people, but the militants have cut through it and connected both shops. In the next section here, we have some of the actual improvised roadside bombs. It's basically put together they have welded together some pieces of iron and steel, and they have built for each one of them a lid, which means the explosives that we saw in the other room would go into these small canisters that they have put together. These are all fuses, which means they are cables that would be connected to the bombs and set off. These cables and fuses we see here would set off the bomb. And as you can see, car parking.
Explosions are the best part to helping EOD out.
That's Las Vegas native and 110 Cab Quick Reaction Force medic, Private First Class James Bucco. He explains what they're doing this morning with the 749th Explosive Ordnance Disposal Company.
Well, we came here, picked up some fertilizer, loaded it up. We're gonna do a controlled detonation, but it's good that we're picking it up so it's off the streets, so it doesn't help out with the HME labs that are going around here. It's not hurting the AUP, ANP, and other Afghan national forces that we got, and also the locals.
HME, or homemade explosive, is the primary material used by insurgents in Afghanistan for roadside bombs. The 2 units from Fort Carson, Colorado, are loading an estimated 2,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate collected by the Afghan National Police on various occasions. In 1995, 4,000 pounds of ammonium nitrate was used in the Oklahoma City bombing. Specialist Jacob Gaultier of 749th EOD explains how the Afghan government ban on ammonium nitrate is affecting insurgent operations.
They have to make their own HME now instead of just buying this at a farming store or somewhere where you get, fertilizer and just grounding it down. That's how easy it was. Now they're having to switch to making their own. So it's really helping out.
Once the truck was loaded, the convoy moved to a safe area, away from civilians for the controlled explosion. EOD team leader from Washington, North Carolina, Sergeant First Class Charles Deans, explained what will happen next.
Soldiers from 749th EOD basically getting rid of ammonium nitrate. And because we can't carry enough explosives to get rid of the amount that we have today, we're actually trying to blow it into the air to spread it out because it's a fertilizer. And we picked this spot in between the mountains so that the mountains can channel the blast wave up and away from any homes or fobs in the area.
Sergeant Deans continues to explain the benefits of destroying the fertilizer.
Here in the next year or so after the rainy season, this will probably be one of the greenest areas in Afghanistan for a couple of months. So yeah, it's pretty good for the environment, doesn't hurt anything.
After placing the explosive charges with the fertilizer, the soldiers moved to a safe distance to view their work.
EOD, this is Red 4, you're clear to blow when you're ready.
Reporting for the 319th Mobile Public Affairs Detachment outside of Kandahar City, Afghanistan.
All stations, this is net. Fire in the hole, fire in the hole, fire in the hole. Go.
I'm U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Walter Tallens.
There you go.
There it is. So that's not even half of what they've just blown up in Beirut.
Right, and you see how they have to get rid of it, because they don't want that amount to sit anywhere because it's dangerous. So they get it to a certain amount and they're like, all right, we're gonna blow this up.
Right,
It just makes sense.
Are you at the office now?
I'm at the office. Yeah, I got what's his name in the background over here.
Yeah. Okay. Just checking.
Yeah.
I thought you moved to the office. So anyway, we'll move in from the explosion to United States. Now, the other day we posted a George Floyd video of what happened.
The official full body cam.
Yes. So it tells you exactly what happened. What's your thoughts on that?
I mean, honestly, I still think there was a degree where even though you notice more resistance and more stuff that you maybe didn't see in the edited versions, that he was resisting arrest and stuff, there still was a point to me where the 4 of them could have said, all right, I think it was after they had him down for about a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I was like, okay, he's calming down. Let's get him up and put him in the car. But it just kept going. So, I mean, realistically, it's not like me watching that footage all of a sudden says, oh yeah, George Floyd was 100% wrong and the cop was 100% right and all this stuff. I still see a point where it de-escalated. To me, that's my personal view.
Right. Well, I saw the video and that kind of changed my mind. I was more for Floyd than I was for the cops.
Right.
Now I'm like 50-50. Of course, the cops should have left. If he couldn't breathe, he should have let his knee off his neck and throat and stuff. So
right.
That should have happened. He was wrong on doing that, but he was right to do what he did. I mean, because he was not getting in the car. If you would just got in the car, you'd been alive today.
It would have been a totally different story. So the sad part is that what most of the country saw, that went right to riot mode, was just a guy who looked cooperative at first, and then all of a sudden ended up on the ground. It was there was this huge middle part that was cut out and missing. And once I saw the middle part, I was like, okay, wow, I can see why these more officers had to come on the scene and more guys got involved, because he's a big guy and he was definitely resisting and all that stuff. But the like I said, there was that point. It was about two minutes plus when he was on the ground, where I said to myself, like, this would be the point where I rip him off the ground and put him in the car. Like he was out of breath. See, that was my standpoint, is that the guy was winded and out of breath, so it's the perfect time to just yank him and throw him in the car.
Right.
The fight was gone, and that's the thing. I think it was definitely an error in judgment on that cop's part. I mean, he's gonna, the rest of his life, I mean, if he goes to prison, they're gonna kill him anyway. We kind of assume that, but
That's true.
you know, I am not supporting the riotous reaction of it, like he was this, you know, innocent angel, you know, that everybody portrayed him to be. And I mean, you know, you think back now, no one else that passed away from COVID during that time period was allowed to have a funeral with their family. Yet this guy's funeral was televised. There were thousands and thousands of people. It was a multi-state funeral. I mean, it was like an extravaganza. Just like, you know, everybody was on lockdown for COVID, but if you wanted to riot, well, that's perfectly acceptable. And, you know, it's just a weird way to, you know, talk out of both sides of your mouth and just to get this whole democratic point. And this whole thing was, it's starting to look very orchestrated, like it was meant to pop off to this point where now we have civil unrest. I don't even think the people in Seattle and Portland know what they want. You know, the things that they're asking for don't make any sense. And you know, it's unrest to be angry. There's nothing that they're going to get out of defunding the police or whatever they're doing to the courthouse, okay, in Portland. I mean, they could have chose many other places and probably got away with a lot more. It's almost as if, and I hate to say this, that they knew that if they attacked the federal courthouse, that it would get Trump involved. And it seemed to me that was the motivation, because there was no other point to attack the courthouse. There was plenty other things they could have done. They chose that focal point. They knew it would make national headlines. They knew it would be on the news. And as the crowds got bigger, they got more emboldened. Like what I noticed is the crowds were like their cover. They could do way more evil stuff and do way more destructive stuff when there was crowds of thousands. When the crowds thinned out, it calmed down, right? And then the feds kind of like, they didn't even go outside anymore. And then the crowds came back, and then all of a sudden they felt emboldened again and started cutting the fence and doing all of those things. So, I mean, the craziest part is it went on for 60 plus days. And, you know, these Democratic mayors are like, yeah, it was the feds that instigated all of that, when they didn't come in until 45 days of it went on.
Yeah, later, yeah.
Yeah, they came in later. And like in Minnesota, for example, you know, like we're on the George Floyd thing right now. It was the day after they were burning the precinct to the ground, and it was acceptable to burn the whole town down. And it was this stance that property's replaceable, that, you know, it's just, oh, this is the unheard voices of these people and all this stuff. But it turns out that it's just blind rage. It doesn't get anyone anywhere. And I mean, we're still in the same stance. Like I heard people argue today, you know, the systemic racism of the United States elected Barack Obama twice.
Right.
And we have more people of color that are millionaires in this country than anywhere in the world, other than Saudi. We'll say Saudi Arabia, because there's some really rich guys of color in Saudi Arabia.
Well, yeah, it's they're trying to portray that it's unconsciously we're racist.
Yes, that no matter what, everything is derived from a racist like starting point. Therefore, it's like original sin. Like no matter what happens, no matter how many black people get famous and rich and successful, and no matter how many black people get jobs, and I think that was the other thing, if you really think about this, how many you know, people of color were being employed and empowered economically before the coronavirus and these protests and stuff like that. It was the only way to attack Trump on his idea of when everybody's working, everybody's producing, everybody becomes an equal to some extent. Like, yes, I'm not equal to people who own private planes, but I'm equal to guys, my peers, and that makes me feel good. And there's a certain, once you work for what you have, now you have respect for everything else. You have respect for your neighborhood. You have respect for your people around, and you want to protect them and bring them up too. So like that starting point where Trump went economically was a point where Democrats hate, because they can't get elected when everybody's doing well. They need people that are literally waiting for a handout for them to get elected. So they did everything in their power to make this happen. I really think that there's darker people behind these riots and civil unrest.
Now, we talked about this before in the show. George Soros, all the major characters are involved. But make sure you take a look at the George Floyd video we have out. It's a full body scan.
The full thing. Watch it all.
Yeah,
take it all in.
Like 9 minutes long. Not too long. It's the last video we posted. Take a look at that. Again, the Bill Mason Show has been the forefront of all the news that's going on. We predicted the pandemic. We called it.
Yeah.
We talked about the riots way before. We talked about all kinds of things before it even happens. So just listen to our show, and you will hopefully enjoy it. Make sure you subscribe. Do you have any last words, Bill?
No, but I'm really happy we have some new subscribers and new people coming on board. And kind of what we do is take the spin out of most of the media out there. And there's going to be restrictions. I mean, we try our hardest, and we get stuff taken down all the time from social media. Social media is now at war with the truth, to be honest. So
we're the Bill Mason Show too.
Yeah, they're at war with us. They honestly are. They've taken our stuff down for no reason. Your community guideline strikes and all this other crap that they make up. It's just BS. It's just your counter to the narrative. So, I mean, people got to hang in there, I guess, and do your own research. Like if we say something or show you something and you don't believe it, go ahead, look around for yourself, because you'll start to find that the truth is probably out there. You just have to get off of Facebook for 5 or 10 minutes and start to fact search yourself, because the Facebook fact checkers are liberals. So you're not going to get actual facts out of Facebook fact checkers any day.
Right. Well,
that's my final point.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate that. And so I appreciate you watching, and you have a wonderful night.
Good night, everyone.